Hello, everyone out there in internet or radio land. This is that time of the week.
So speaking of other cretins, speaking of other cretins,
So yeah, this is an important one, and we don't often talk about Fox News here. Like, I mean, we critique the media a lot, but like a lot of y'all know why Fox News is bad, like the fairness doctrine, all that stuff. And you mentioned the other day, like, so there's a really good episode last week tonight that really dove into kind of like how Tucker Carlson. And in some ways, I mean, we goof off. He's like a bow tie wearing, frozen food uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh,
he's an oligarch. He is a oligarch. He
mhm.
is an heir to the Swanson food family. He is the most watched
Yeah. Who then goes
uh
on television
uh
pretends he's speaking to the working class, but as you mentioned, he's one of the most
no
watched
no no
pundits on
he
television.
he's one of the most watched news anchors in America on American television,
Mhm.
and at the same time he tries to convince everybody that he's being censored, that the right wing is being censored. The most watched newsman in the world is being censored while telling you he's being censored on national TV.
It's pretty
That's not the
pretty
reason
clever
why.
bit,
That's
I
not the reason
guess. If
why.
you want to give him that credit, though. uh,
Like,
but
that's not the reason why I wanted to talk about him as a, because this ties into the quick hit. I have no problem with people who are left wing going on right wing shows to push back against their narrative and to express left wing policies on their platform. With that being said, when you have people like Jimmy Dore go on that platform and not push, not talk about uh, populist ideas like Medicare for all, free college, or living wage, not pushing back against the literal stormfront and neo-Nazi talking points of the replacement theory that white supremacists use, that
was that on the same episode?
Democrats want to
Like,
bring.
we'll give you
It
more
was, I
context
think it was
next
like,
time.
I think it was, yeah. Okay, so Jimmy Dore went on to Tucker Carlson to basically talk about the squad. Talk about how the squad has been in a how the lefties uh in Congress and in our body politics are being ineffective. Now, me and Andy have our own criticisms of the squad, which we will get to, because that is a story that we actually do need to talk about, how they basically surrendered in some ways, and that is a real thing. Here's the problem. What did Jimmy go on there and talk about? He bashed the squad, which he's done on his show. But did he bring up Medicare for all? Did he bring up how our country needs reoccurring stimulus checks? Did he bring up the fact that Tucker Carlson is literally using neo-Nazi talking points of the Democrats want to replace real Americans with immigrants, which is literally things that he has said, that immigrants will not replace us, when he's saying this type of
That's literally what
literal.
they were saying in Charlottessville. The Nazi Best Buy geek
That's
spot guys.
that's what that's what they're saying on Stormfront. That's what they're saying on neo-Nazi websites. Did he push back on any of that from a from the uh, from a lefty media perspective? He did not. He went on there and talked about how the right wing and people are being censored for not talking about Hunter Biden and his corruption. Now, we can both agree that yes, Hunter Biden, Hunter Biden and his corruption with being on the board of Ukraine when he knows nothing about gas, oil, or Ukraine is rampant corruption.
It's the
That's
same
the
kind of
same type of
nepotism
corrupt.
that a lot of people, anti-Trump people get very hyperventilated about. Yeah.
we can agree that that's garbage. But if you're mad about that, then you also have to be mad about Ivanka and Eric Trump when they were making multi-million-dollar deals with China. You have to, it's the same type of corruption. Because if you're honestly telling me that the trade deals that they were making, that Ivanka was making while she was working for her dad in the White House is not corruption, then you've lost your mind. Did Jimmy bring any of that up? No. He chose to go on Tucker Carlson to agree with him, not to push back, not to push lefty ideology to his right-wing audience. He went there as a leftist to say that, hey, the nutcase stuff that you're saying, I agree with you. That is garbage. Absolutely unequivocal.
It really makes like the big concern. Like some of these YouTubers are more, they're less motivated by ideology than personal gain, and like this really does come off as a very grifty move. It's like, I'm coming on, I'm going to be deferential to the host because, as we mentioned earlier, it's one of the top rated shows on cable news. And it's like, yeah, you're supposed to push back. Like one of the roles of like being on show is like, you're supposed to see like, this is why we, if you're a leftist, then both Democrats and Republicans are bad. You're supposed to explain that. And especially, it really ties into, we've criticized, Jimmy Dore before on the show, or like platforming people from like the Boogaloo movement. And especially like in this context where Tucker Carlson is saying this white supremacist talking point, it feels like it's, both of them are united by this impulse that all they want to do is like troll liberals. And like, I wanted to just speak a little bit to that. The idea of like debating whether or not Tucker Carlson himself is a fascist or a Nazi for espousing these points, I think that's almost besides the point. Short answer, yes. But we have to understand.
Short answer is the Anti-Defamation League has said that Tucker Carlson needs to be fired twice now because of him pushing neo-Nazi talking points. Yeah. Him mainstreaming it.
Mm-hmm. But like the cynical part of it is like the reason he's bringing this up on a show. It's very manipulative in the sense that it's deliberately done to stoke and drum up outrage. And he's fully aware of what he's doing. Like he knows that these are Nazi talking points, but all throughout his spiel about it, all he can focus on is like how outraged liberals are about it, how angry liberals are, without actually engaging with the content of what he's saying and the history around it. And the problem is, whether these media pundits take this stuff seriously or not, or they're using it as a grift, the people on the receiving end will tend to believe this stuff, as we saw on January 6th. It was a very, like, the whole Stop the Steal stuff was a very cynical grift to try to, one, steal people's money and cling on to power. But the people who went and did that action, like, most of them sincerely believed all of this nonsense. And with as big as Tucker Carlson's platform is, he is funneling people onto a Nazi talking point. And, it's perhaps more productive to point out just like the kind of transparent trolly nature of it than to point out that, like, yeah, again, this is a Nazi talking point. He's playing with fire. But again, this is almost like the reaction that he wants. He wants to piss off, the blue no matter who people, et cetera, et cetera. But in the process, again, he's using his platform to do something incredibly dangerous, which is to feed his very large audience into basically mainstreaming Nazi talking points.
Okay, and also, so what is the thing that we keep talking about, or the thing that Tucker Carlson talks about? So obviously, so before I get there, I used to like Jimmy Dore. I really do. I used to like Jimmy Dore. I'm not gonna lie. I have a Midwest bias. The boy's from Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like, Midwest bias. It is what it is. At the same time, at this point, he is doing more harm than good when it comes to making sure that our message is being put out to our message, and the things that we fight for is being shown in the best light, especially on platforms that don't agree with us. He's doing more harm than good to the fight. So that's that. That's how I feel about that. Tucker Carlson is bringing up the white replacement theory. White replacement theory is the ideology that Nazis used to justify the laws that they started to do that was more draconian laws that they did against the Jews. What is this theory? The theory is that that more people outside the group, in that case, back in that time, it was more Jewish people and others were coming to replace real Germans, taking their jobs, taking their homes, taking their equity, and replacing them. So when you heard the chant in Charlottesville, Jews will not replace us, that's that replacement theory in action. And then when you heard Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson say, immigrants will not replace us, and that we can't have their babies, we need to have more of our own. That is that theory that they're talking about. It is literal propaganda. Outside the fact that if you look at American history, America just creates new white people. Because if you remember, in American history, Italians weren't necessarily white people when they came to America, but they got brought into the group. Irish, the Irish, when they came to America, they wasn't considered white, but they got brought into the group. Tell me how Ted Cruz and how Marco Rubio are considered acceptable, even though they literally have Latin X names.
And it's very nefarious too, because
so again,
so Tucker could point out, well, maybe not now, after everything's gone down the last several months, but another thing these fascists are doing is like kind of multicultural or multi-ethnic fascism, I should say. Where you have people like Enrique Tarrio, who was, heading the Proud Boys, or even that whole practice.
That snitch.
Pro Pinochet shirts on. What they're trying to do is like broaden that, like move those goalposts again. So like, okay, as long as you worship Western civilization, then we will invite you into the club, and we want you to come in and defend it from people who are somewhat different from us. And that's really like the thing this spells on Tucker's show.
But and also this goes back to the thing that you were talking about with when we were talking about last week tonight. Prominent neo-Nazi white supremacist families. One, I forgot the dude's name that spoke about it. He said that his family would watch Tucker Carlson. The first time was to enjoy what Tucker was saying, and the second time was to learn from what he was saying, because Tucker is mainstreaming these ideas. It's the same thing with why he had to fire one of his writers that he had working for him, that wrote a majority of his speeches, for saying and espousing white supremacist ideology.
And all you're doing is replacing a couple of verbs and nouns, like when you really think about it.
And we act as if he's still not doing the same thing today. That's the thing that makes me upset about it, is that it's not that Tucker has stopped doing this stuff. He's continued to do so, and he's gotten more popular because of it. Because he knows his audience. This is the reason why he says stuff to his audience like, all the left wants to do is say, "Shut up, racist, stop talking," because they don't want to hear legitimate conversation. If you're telling your audience that they've heard the phrase "shut up, racist, stop talking," then you're assuming that your audience is racist. You're assuming that your audience agrees with racist and bigoted ideas.
And spoiler alert, not if you say something racist in front of me, I'm probably going to tell you to shut up. Like it's not, you're engaging in the marketplace of ideas. I didn't want to go to the market.
It's not even engaging. Okay. No. Look, I'm a free speech anarchist. I like battle rap. Battle rap has says, like, if you watch any battle rap on URL, KOTD, Rare Breed Entertainment, or whatever, you're going to hear racist, sexist, bigoted, transphobic, whatever. You're going to hear it all. But the whole idea of rap battles is that you're going to say something, and then whoever you are saying this to gets to respond back. Tucker Carlson is on a platform where the people are not responding back. He is just putting out information on this talk show that is supposed to that's shapes the discourse of our conversations. And he's not being challenged on these things. This is the reason why he doesn't have lefties that disagree with him on his show. He has lefties that go on his show that agrees and backs what he is saying. That's the reason why Tucker is dangerous.
And you know, the whole thing, like with response and non-response, like that's a whole pathology to this, because you know they'll always say like, "Oh, we encourage debate. We want ideological debate." But the minute somebody who's on the actual left challenges them, they use that to say we're being silenced because you're trying to get us to not say this thing. It's like, no, you say this thing, and then you know, if what you just said is like, you know, racist, sexist, transphobic, etc., I'm going to, you know, tell it like it is. But they don't engage.
I'm going to tell you you're garbage when you're garbage.
Yeah, exactly. And they say, they respond, it's like, well, you're infringing on my First Amendment rights. And it's like, no, freedom of speech is freedom of speech, not freedom from consequences. And if your speech is garbage, that is how it is going, the response thusly, etc.
Yeah, like yes, slander, defamation, libel, all these things are not protected under the free speech, under the First Amendment. You have a right to say whatever you want. You don't have a right to be liked or not to get a response for what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Like right. and Tucker, what Tucker's doing is something that's known as stochastic terrorism. This is the reason why a lot of mass shooters, they quoted a lot of mass shooters and domestic terrorists. Yeah. Domestic terrorists, they quoted Trump, they quote Tucker, they quoted Candace Owens, they quoted they name drop these people because what they're doing is what's known as stochastic terrorism. Stochastic terrorism is when you say things like these people are coming to take your jobs. These people are coming to hurt your family. These people are are we going to do something about it? Who's gonna stand up and do something about it? We have to fight back. What we're gonna do, like the language that they're using is meant to stoke fear and a response for a violent response from those that are listening. This is the reason why we got the insurrection. This is the reason why you got the story that happened with the white supremacist dude holding a gun up to army veterans that were in their military vehicles. It's that type of garbage that will continue to hurt our country, and we have to call it out when we see it.
All right, Lawrence, I think let's go to one more quick little break, and we got some more stuff to talk about when we come back. Y'all listening to the Hood Rat Strategist radio program only on 89.1 WIDR or online at widerfm.org. You can also check us out on our Facebook page, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We break down our show into topic-specific segments. Y'all listening to the Hood Rat Strategist radio show, your only source for political revolution.